This is VoiceAmericaKids.com. It's time for Speaking of Sports, your weekly look inside at the stats, scores, opinions, and facts from a kid's point of view. You can't miss one moment of the action going on in the next hour. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to the program. You're listening to Speaking of Sports. I'm Fabian, and I'm here with Wills, and you're listening to Speaking of Sports on Voice America Kids Network. Today we got a good show for you today. We're talking about Major League Baseball, off-season over. We're getting ready for spring training, and that's a good sign, because that means we're ready for a summer craze. Also, in the NBA, numerous storylines, including what everyone's talking about, Linsanity. So, Wills, well, what has surprised you most about Major League Baseball's off-season so far?
Mostly how just some players have not stayed in their hometown, such as Pujols not going back to St. Louis and Fielder going back to his father's hometown of Detroit.
Yeah, definitely it's been a crazy off-season, lots of moves, very active off-season, and very quietly one of the more unnoticeable storylines, especially with the NBA, NFL lockout. Major League Baseball was able to get their collective bargaining agreement done, very much under wraps and very away from the spotlight, which I think many Major League Baseball fans appreciated, especially with all the NBA lockout and NFL lockout craze. But also, numerous moves such as Pujols and T.J. Wilson teaming up to go with the Angels. Prince Fielder joining Miguel Cabrera in Detroit. Lots of shifts in power in Major League Baseball. Angels going from a disappointing team a year ago to becoming one of the contenders in the AL. While also seeing teams like Miami Marlins moving teams, getting a new manager, and bringing in talent such as Jose Reyes, Hanley Ramirez, and Mark Burley. So, what else? It's been a very eventful offseason. What do you think is the team that improved most this offseason?
I've got to say the Los Angeles, because last year they just had one pitcher, Jared Weaver, who was still considered one of the best pitchers in the AL. But now they added one extra pitcher to help them out, and they have some offensive firepower now. I think they will be the best team in the AL.
I think it's going to be interesting because although they only have one ace, but now they have two aces, but also they have a very solid pitching staff behind them. Remember, Ervin Santana threw that no-hitter last year. Very solid young starting pitching rotation. They improved that bullpen a little bit with Troy Hawkins to go along with their second-year closer now, Weldon. And also be interesting to see how Kendry Morales returns. He hasn't played, remember, in almost 2 years since breaking his leg after a walk-off grand slam. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Angels do, especially since they're in the same division as the Texas Rangers, a team that's gone to the World Series the last 2 years. Also, it's been interesting to see in the National League. The National League East, I think, is overall most improved division because they got Phillies, who they improved their bullpen. They got Jonathan Papelbon from the Boston Red Sox, definitely shoring up their bullpen and providing security at the closer position, which they have not had since Brad Lidge first went down. Also, Miami Marlins have definitely improved. New stadium, new uniform, new look, new manager, whole bunch of change going on, and now they've become a contender. Also, Washington Nationals, I think, is definitely a team to watch for. They acquired Edwin Jackson along with Gio Gonzalez, have a very solid starting pitching rotation, couple of left-handers in there that can really compete with other teams within that division. Also, I think there's only one thing I think the Nationals are missing, and that's the center fielder. And that help might come during the season. That is, if they decide to call up their prize, former number 1 draft pick, Bryce Harper.
Yeah, he's going to be definitely add some firepower into that offense, but there's just such a fire-packed division with the Phillies being such a powerhouse that they are, and the Marlins making so many changes. But we'll see how the Nationals can get it done.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that's going under the radar this offseason with their moves, I think they made the playoffs as a surprise team a year ago, but they definitely shored up on their starting pitching and relieving. I think they're definitely going to contend in their division next year as well. It's going to be a tight race, I think, in the NL West between the Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona Diamondbacks, remember, being last year's Cinderella story. inching into playoffs, beating out the defending world champions in their division, and now they're adding pitching. They added Trevor Cahill, also improving their bullpen. They got Takashi Saito and Craig Breslow. I think it's going to be interesting to see how these new additions improve, as well as seeing how this offense rebounds, seeing how Ryan Roberts, will he be able to be that producer? Will he have Paul Goldschmidt? Will he be the power hitter everyone expects him to be that he was last year? How will Stephen Drew return from his broken ankle? It's going to be really interesting to see how this entire team molds together, because that team thrived pretty much solely off chemistry last year. And I think also one of the key things to think about, last year, Gold Glover, Gerardo Parra, left fielder, everyone was a fan favorite. But then Diamondbacks make an interesting move. They bring in Jason Kubel, who's definitely, his bat will definitely have the lineup. Nothing against Parra, more of a power bat than Parra has. It's going to be interesting how they platoon the role between Parra and Jason Kubel, especially with Parra's great defense and his ability to get hits towards the bottom of the order.
Yeah, Kubel, I don't think they did anything against the outfield, but I think they brought in Kubel just to add a little competition into that outfield, just to get everyone to step it up a little bit, knowing your job is not always safe.
Yeah, I think the one player on that team that's going to be key for this year, definitely Justin Upton. Justin Upton going from, oh, is he a bust, when is he going to actually reach his potential, to last year becoming one of the leading MVP candidates by the end of the year. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Justin Upton bounces back after a really breakout year last year. He improved defensively this offseason, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep his hitting up.
Yeah, he's just been such of a power hitter that last year he was one of the leading in the league of getting hit by pitches, which is very interesting.
Yeah, he has definitely become a center lineup guy that we haven't had in Arizona probably since Luis Gonzalez's era. I don't think it's fair to compare the two quite yet, but I see numerous similarities. The guys who were questioned for the fielding early on in their careers, of course, just Luis Gonzalez wasn't a number one draft pick, but still, questions for fielding early on in their years, and eventually developed into becoming superstars.